Hey, what's up? Welcome to yet another episode of the Academy of Secular Thought. I am your host, Seraph, and today I want to talk about yet another interesting topic that involves death. I know death cannot be really interesting in any substantial sense, but it's fun because I just want you to wrap your mind around a thought experiment, and this thought experiment, I call it an alternative death story, where suppose everything that you know about what happens when you die today isn't factual, or not necessarily factual. Let's suppose you don't have any knowledge about any presupposed afterlife. You're just blank. You're an ignorant person, and then you are asked to say what you think the afterlife would be like, if there will be an afterlife. So now this is what this piece is basically about. Imagine you never knew any story whatsoever that tells you about an afterlife, any theory or any sacred text that gives you a window into peering through the afterlife. Because practically speaking, I think none of us can say with absolute certainty what it is that's on the other side, if there is even an other side. Yeah, so this basically is an alternative death story that goes beyond what's currently known and what's currently on the table. And this is in relation to the sacred stories that we currently have. So yeah, this is an alternative death story, and it goes something like this. I will put up the link in my description so that you can read it up on my blog. I wrote it down like early this year in April. So I decided to read it out to you guys. Yeah. And it goes something like this. Let's suppose you're walking back home, say from a friend's place late in the evening. And since this particular friend just lives a few blocks away from your own home, you decided to simply walk there and back as opposed to driving there. And this being the normal routine of your visits, you are simply walking back to your place with ease and calmness that is practically your usual state. Nothing peculiar about today, it's just your normal usual day. You walk past local schools, gymnasiums, a clinic, and shopping centers, thinking about nothing important really. You bump into a few people you know, you stop and say hi, and then for a minute or two you ask how they are doing and how everyday life seems to be going. You then continue with your walk and you get into some straight road that leads all the way up to where your house is. However, since you are still a good distance away, you decide to pull out your earphones, you plug them onto your mobile phone and switch to your music player. As your favorite song starts to play through your ears, you stare up your phone screen to notice what time it could possibly be. Upon seeing the time, you whisper to yourself, 18:20, and there is still this much of daylight. Surprising. You continue walking all the way up the road, and that great song you are listening to keeps playing on repeat while you sing along in a slight undertone, something almost like a mild humming. Then suddenly you see this man a few meters away from you, seeming to be screaming at you or someone else possibly in your direction, and he is gesturing his hand so violently, almost as if to say, hey you, move to your left. And just like any normal person listening to very loud music through your headsets, you are puzzled about his scary, overly dramatic movements, then that you quickly pull out your headset so as to get what he is screaming loudly about. Then as quickly as your music goes quiet, you hear a loud bang, as if the earth's core was tearing apart violently. And you hear this strange man's voice amid the noise, with his hands pointing at something seemingly inordinately scary behind you. Move away from that pedestrian walk. There is a... In that second, as you make sense of the rushed signal the unease strange man was trying to give you, you turn to look back, and this spinning taxi cab that had lost control just a few meters from behind you comes crashing straight into you. The little life left running through your veins makes you feel every piece of your body shred in pieces. Then, almost as if in a split second, everything blacks out. The screaming, the noise of the spinning car, and the excruciating pain you only felt for as long as a minute vanish into paralyzing quietness. You are dead. Almost as if from a dream, you wake up drenched in a pool of sweat. You wake up drenched in a pool of sweat, with a terrifying fear that feels like daggers shoved into your chest cavity. Then, this huge grey-haired man, who seems to be of British accent and wearing a white robe, holds your hand and holds you down, saying, "Calm down. It's okay. Trust me, it's absolutely fine." With your heart pounding against your chest, choking on your own breath, you ask in dreadful astonishment, "What's this place? Where am I?" The man tightly holds you firm to your bed, trying to stop you from shaking in confusion. "Calm down. Just breathe. Just breathe. I mean, no harm. I will tell you where you are. Just calm down first." You look at him straight in the eyes, and you gradually stop trying to fight him. Then his grip on you slowly becomes gentle. Then he hugs you warmly and whispers, "Welcome to the new world." Yeah, so this continues. Yeah, so this was basically a fictional experience that I was trying to use to help you travel on an experience. Say, for example, you happen to be in this unfortunate situation and then you die, and then you come across this other realm of existence that you didn't know about, but it goes beyond what you actually knew. Now imagine the questions you are going to have, the wonderings, like how possible is it that you are in this new place? Because the normal thought was probably you could be somewhere else, or probably the life that you were living prior to your getting there could have been the only life. But this was just basically a hypothetical experience. You could too write your own like hypothetical what-if death experiences where you disengage yourself from the normal narrative that you know and try to think up how you think the afterlife could possibly be. Because, I mean, the fact that nobody knows with absolute certainty what's out there leaves room for speculation and leaves room for a lot of what-ifs. And what-ifs are what gets conversations going. And what-ifs are what authors who have earned a huge name, what-ifs are what their books have been mounted on. I mean, if you're coming from a place where you're cocksure about things, you're so certain, I don't think you can be a good writer. You have to defy the norm, think beyond what an average person can think about. And if you'd be interested enough, send me a link to your what if death story. I would like to read yours. I'm going to write a part 2 of what I think the afterlife would be. Imagine your relatives receiving you on the other end with placards as though you went to another country. Yeah, but that's only a hypothetical thought that you can disregard if you want. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, what do you think about that though? We can then have a conversation now, like you and me.
Was he even listening? That's a question.
Oh, you were? Yeah, let's talk about it. Like, if you had to think of an afterlife that you don't know about. Loretta, you want to talk about it?